Hi, I guess we're live. So in this video, in this stream, I am going to start to learn the PHP programming language. It stands for Hypertext Preprocessor or Personal Homepage, depending on whom you ask. Now a little background about me. I know HTML, CSS, a little bit of JavaScript and Python as well. So this is not my first rodeo, as they would say it. But what I am going to do is follow along this 11-hour course by Lara Cast. It's a free course. I'm gonna link it in the description as well. I'll send it to chat right now. Here's the course. Show it some love. Now I will start to see what Jeffrey Wade, the creator of this course, and of course Laracast, has to teach about PHP. Let's begin.
Exactly do you choose the first programming language to learn? Why PHP and not Ruby or JavaScript or Python? I mean, how can you be expected to make such a large decision without having the expertise to differentiate between all of the available choices?
Straight off the bat, I love how he begins. The most important question for beginning programmers is, how do you choose PHP over Ruby or JavaScript or Python or something like that? Now, we have a bunch of what's called unknown unknowns. There's the Eisenhower matrix, I believe, EISENHOER matrix, yeah, Eisenhower matrix, which is your known knowns, oh no, that's something completely different. This is the priority matrix. I am looking for known, unknown matrix. I love the word matrix. Yes, these things. So this is what I mean. As a beginner programmer, you are in this region here, unknown unknowns. You do not know what you do not know. And your only source of information is through biased programming blogs or tutorials or books. Now, when I say biased, I don't mean to say that in a bad way, because of course they've invested their entire career into developing skills in a framework, and no matter what anyone says, you can't learn a programming language or a paradigm sufficient enough to be dangerous in it within a week, a month, or even 90 to 100 days. It takes multiple years of continued love and practice and dedication and problem solving to get good at any programming language. So what Jeffrey says right now is a very important question. It's somewhere it's a leap of faith and trying to just see where others have ended up who've gone down this road. So for me, why I'm picking up PHP this late into my career is because I think that PHP is one of those languages that lets you do a lot of things with a lot less, and it's been battle tested since the 90s. It's older than JavaScript. So PHP was in fact in browsers before JavaScript was even invented. So I think it's a good enough bet. Whether I'm right or wrong, we'll know soon. I've heard people say that it's insecure. Of course, there are modern practices and frameworks like Laravel which make it sufficiently secure enough to run multi-million-dollar businesses. So I guess it's good enough for me. But I think with PHP, I'll be able to be dangerous enough and fast enough without worrying too much, because it's hands down the most mature ecosystem of any full stack web programming language out there. So that's why PHP over Ruby or Django, or rather Ruby or Python or JavaScript or anything like that. JavaScript is an absolute flaming war with frameworks since the last few years. Ruby is phenomenal. Ruby on Rails, of course, is phenomenal, but its ecosystem is not as active anymore as it used to be, at least since the last 5 to 10 years ago. And Python, I've tried Django. I did enjoy it, but I find it a little bit harder to deploy, and there are Python is one of those languages which I really love to create scripts with. So I've done some automation scripts with Python. Really useful, of course, for machine learning, for data analytics. It's the de facto default language. But as a web framework language, I found Django to be a little bit too magical, I want to say. I just didn't vibe with the whole way of working with Django, although it does come with an admin feature out of the box, but it's fairly trivial once you understand how to build it yourself in other frameworks like Laravel, etc. Okay, let's continue with the video.
It's a good question. Now, we could look at usage stats or developer happiness reviews, but the truth is, it largely depends on your environment. There's no one.
Fantastic advice. You can look at developer happiness and reviews from other people, but here's the thing. Developer happiness was also one of the big pulling factors for me to get into Laravel, so I'm glad he brought it up.
Correct answer. Just as there's no correct spoken language to learn. It just depends.
Love the analogy. Just like there's no correct spoken language, there isn't a correct programming language. Yes, I've had so much fun playing with vanilla JavaScript and some frameworks like jQuery and even Svelte a little bit. But here's the thing. It really depends, and I guess right now I'm in a bit of a PHP sort of a vibe. You know what I'm saying? I'm just feeling it right now. Let's see where this goes.
Now, if you're hoping to intern at a WordPress or a Laravel shop, then you're surely going to want PHP.
Yeah, so clarification. I don't want to work at a WordPress or a Laravel shop. I'd rather want to build products with either of these technologies. I have built several WordPress websites, a few Laravel ones as well, but it's just that I haven't really understood what they do under the hood. Build is a difficult word to use in this context. I'd rather say I've assembled these web apps or websites using Laravel and WordPress. So I would love to see the underlying technology so that I am more confident with these and I can build better apps without worrying about abstractions or having to trust someone else's code.
On the other hand, you might have a friend who works at Shopify who is offered to show you the ropes. In that case, you'll likely be working with Ruby. And
that's a big plus. So I remember I was introduced to video editing by a friend of mine. Just a parallel, I know we're talking about two different disciplines, video editing and programming. But he taught me how to edit in Adobe Premiere Pro within 20 minutes. That's because I was building on top of existing knowledge from Adobe Photoshop. So within 20 minutes, I learned how to how to edit video using Premiere Pro. Now that's a huge deal. If you have friends who work with different technologies, use their time, use your relationship and learn from them one-to-one if they're willing to help you. I think that's going to be a huge big up. Or if you can afford a personal direct teacher who is going to coach you one-to-one, I think that's a huge shortcut to learning how to program, especially as a beginner when you don't know what you don't know.
That's cool too. The point is, it doesn't really matter. Right now, you're interested in the fundamentals of programming. And whether you choose PHP or Ruby or something else, doesn't really matter. You'll be happy to hear that these concepts cross over. And once you've learned one language, the next one is significantly easier to pick up.
Yeah, it cannot be overstated. Once you're thorough enough in one programming language, you do end up becoming really good in other ones as well. So for example, all programming languages basically share the same patterns of objects, of functions, of iterators, of loops, so for loops, while loops, and if statements, maybe even switch statements. All of these are fairly constant across most programming languages. It's just a question of how they choose to implement these within their philosophical paradigm or even use case. So if it's a programming language like Python, which was initially designed to build software, or if it's a programming language like JavaScript, which was initially designed to run on the web. So those are syntactical differences overall. Great point. Once you know one programming language, it's a lot easier to learn the next one.
So with that in mind, let's learn some PHP.
All right, let's go.
Oh, hi there. I didn't see you walk in.
Love how he was pretending to type. Let's just watch it one more time.
Oh, hi there. I didn't see you walk in. Nice to meet you. My name's Jeffrey. And yeah, it looks like I will be your teacher for this semester's PHP for Beginners class.
Hi, Jeff.
And I hope you're excited because I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You have a long road ahead. There's a lot to learn. Not what you want to hear at the very beginning, but it's true. Maybe at some point you saw a listing that says, become a programmer with this 2-week boot camp. But I don't know what they're smoking. It doesn't work that way. It's a long track. But trust me, if this is the job and if this is the career for you, I think you're going to enjoy every step of the process. Okay, so let's talk about this course I've made for you. It has been meticulously designed specifically for where you are in your journey right now. And sometimes at the beginning, you are overwhelmed with options. They'll say, hey, install a code editor. And then you check and there's 12 different choices. Well, which one do I pick? Maybe you want to learn a language. Well, which one? There's 10 different ones to pick, you know? So you are constantly inundated with choices that you are not yet qualified to make. And that's where
This is one other reason why I love this tutorial series, and I love Laddercast and what Jeffrey Way does with it. Now, it is a very common problem. Setting up the initial environment, your development environment, is probably the hardest thing about programming, and unfortunately that's the first thing any programmer needs to do. That means as a self-taught programmer, you're at an exceptional disadvantage because A, you don't know what you don't know, and B, you are basically thrown into the deep end of the pool and expected to set up the most intricate web of dependencies yourself. Now I'm going to skip past just this section because I have linked the entire YouTube video for you guys to watch and set up if you're following along, but I personally have already set up PHP on my system. So if I do php-v, is it v or is it version? It's taking a while. Is this an alias for RMRF? What did I do? Shouldn't take this long. Oh yeah, there it goes. 8.3. Cool. So I do have PHP set up. So I'm gonna mkdir PHP for beginners. cd PHP for beginners. Okay, so I am here in a new folder, a directory that I just created. So I'm gonna move past to skipping the initial setup. I think around here. Play.
I step in. For each step of this process, I will show you choices and then I will recommend one or two.
Love the animations. I love the whole production value here.
Okay, so our tools are now in place, which means the next baby step is a little one. Let's just see if we can get something in the browser. All right, let's get going.
Okay.
All right, so I hope you're working along. If so, open up the terminal that you set up in the last episode, and I'd like to create a directory for our first website. But real quick, and this will apply across the board for this series, the way you go about creating a new site will slightly depend upon how you installed your environment, how you installed PHP in your server. So for example, if you went with Homebrew, like I demonstrated in the last video, you can store your website directories anywhere you want. On the other hand, if you went with something like MAMP, have a look at the documentation. I think they will give you a specific directory where you should create your new website folders. So again, just look at the documentation for whatever installation path you chose, and then follow that. In my case, I used Homebrew, so I can put my websites anywhere I want. In that case, I will go to my home directory, and on the Mac, I can cd to that home directory by using ~/. For Windows, I believe it'll be something like cd to C:, and then maybe users, your name, and desktop. I think that's right. Okay, let's make a directory for all of our websites. I can use this command mkdir, make directory, and we'll call it websites, whatever you want. Some people call it code. It doesn't matter. Okay, now I can cd to that directory. Okay. Change directory to websites. Okay, so now, yeah, we can name this first project anything we want. I will just call it demo. So once again, make directory called demo, and we'll cd into that new folder. Okay, I think we're ready to get started. Open up the editor that you chose in the last episode. And then in my case, I can choose open here, but for you, it might be file and open directory, something like that.
So what I've done is I've created a one demo folder here. I don't know if it'll accept spaces or not. That's why I created one demo as one word. Might have been better off as an underscore, but you know what? Let me fix that. cd rm1 demo ls mkdir 1 underscore demo. Let's go. cd 1 underscore demo code dots. Okay, let's go. So what I did was I deleted the folder called one demo and made a new one called one underscore demo, and I went into that folder and opened it in VS Code. Yes, I trust the author because it is me. I did the thing, therefore I trust myself. I'm big in this. Okay, let's go. I don't think I'm going to need this right now. If I do, I'll just open up the integrated terminal. Let's go.
Okay, and if I open my home directory, sure enough, I can see that websites folder at the top, and demo is the one I want to open. Okay, I'm excited. So let me click up here on the top left, and I only want to see my project files, and we're all set. So let's right click and choose new file. And to begin, I'm going to call it index.html. Not PHP, this is a simple static HTML file. Now, most editors will include any number of snippets for common tasks. In my case, I want some basic boilerplate for an HTML file, and this is what it gives me. But let's keep it super simple. I'm going to get rid of these two meta tags and keep it like this. All right. Now, actually, a quick note. If what I've just done here, this HTML, looks foreign to you, you may not be ready for this particular series. I would hit the pause button and research something like HTML for Dummies. Go through that, get a little comfortable, learn a bit of CSS, and then you're ready for this course. Okay. So yeah, let's just say H1, a heading 1, and we'll say hello world. Every series has to begin with a simple.
Let's go. So basic. H1, hello YouTube. And I have to open this, right? So I think it's php-serve. I think so, php-s. Is that the right command? I mean, I'm pretty sure he's gonna describe it in a second, but I like playing around with code. Let me make this a little bigger for you all. I think the streaming is causing my computer to be slower.
Hello world. Okay, so now I want to view it in the browser. So it may turn out that your editor has some kind of functionality for viewing the results inline, like you see here. But why don't we just load it directly in a browser so that we're all on the same page? So to do that, I will return to the terminal, and let's run php-h. This brings up the help for PHP. And have a look right here, -s run.
Oh, -capital S. Okay, so I'm gonna cancel this. Cancel php-capital S. What? Oh, I need to supply arguments as well. Localhost 8080.
Runs with a built-in web server.
Okay.
It sounds like this is what we want. But real quick, once again, a discrepancy. If you went with something like MAMP, they will include a server for you. You probably have Apache or Nginx, and they will have instructions for how to preview your website in the browser. Otherwise, you'll need to boot one up yourself, and that's what I need to do here. So I can say php-s, and let's go with localhost and a port. How about 8888? All right, we have a development server running. And in fact, I should be able to command click on this URL to access it. Otherwise, just copy it and paste it into a browser.
Let's go.
All right, congratulations. You've now booted up a server,
Nice.
and we're displaying a static piece of HTML.
I'm so
Great.
happy.
But I want you to notice that it automatically worked. And part of that is because I named the file index. So for example, if I were to rename this file, and on PHP Storm, I can go to refactor, rename, or there's always a shortcut. And yeah, if I changed it to anything else, well, keep in mind, as soon as I return to the browser and refresh, it won't be able to find that. So yeah, you'll often find that index is an important file name. Okay, but now I want this to be dynamic. I'm assuming you already have a little experience building a static website, at least the basics. To instead make it dynamic, I'm going to switch to PHP. So once again, I will rename this file to index.php. Now again, notice if I don't change anything at all, because I'm running PHP's built-in web server, it'll still work just like the previous example. But now we have the full power of PHP at our fingertips.
Amazing.
So let's have a look here.
Now, this is another reason why I love PHP, because it's just so simple. It's basically HTML with interactive elements that you need to sprinkle in. It's the dynamic island architecture by default invented in the 90s, 30 years ago.
Let's clear out this h1 tag, and let's open up our first PHP block. We do that by typing $, $PHP, and then a space, and then another question mark, and a greater than sign. And I'll warn you, it's really confusing the first time you do it, maybe the first 10 times you do it. You'll have to look at the keyboard to make sure you're hitting the right keys. But I promise after a while, you won't even think about it. Okay, so now we're basically designating that whatever occurs between or inside this PHP block should be treated as not HTML, but PHP. So for example, if we just did something like this, and I once again wrote hello world, this is not going to work. And in fact, if you have a good editor, it'll let you know, there's something going.
Let's see, I think it's echo whatever hello world. Let's try that. So within the h1 tag, now I'm going to hide the terminal. I did that by pressing Ctrl tilde. He said PHP and hello world. This should not work, right? Is this is I don't think it'll work. Let's see what the error gives us. I think it's echo. Unable to handle the request. Okay, I think it's echo, and this is it echo like this. Oh, I need to semicolonize this, right? Is that the format? I don't think there's Okay, it doesn't give me an error, so maybe this is correct. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, it is. Yay. Amazing. I love this.
Went on here. Switch back to the browser, reload it, and we get a parse error. So notice we're trying to interpret this PHP, but it has no clue what this is because it's not HTML. We have to write using the PHP language.
I got a different error.
So I'll show you the easiest way to simply print a string. We can do that by saying echo, and then within quotes, your string, hello world, and then at the very...
So I did not need the parentheses. It's not a function. Yeah, this makes more sense. Good evening. Okay.
very end, add a semicolon. And in fact, I just...
Yeah, let's stick with hello world. Yeah.
Just used the word string, which can be a little confusing at first. Whenever you hear that word, all I mean is basic text. A string.
Yeah, string is nothing but just a sentence, a bunch of words, a word in itself. Anything between double inverted commas is a string.
Of characters that mean exactly what you read here. They are not special symbols or identifiers that the language will understand. It's literally text. Okay. All right, so think about what's going on here. When the page loads, we display a heading level 1 tag. And as its text content, we open up a PHP block and we echo out the string hello world. And yeah, I know echo can be a little confusing. Think of it just like print this text onto the page. And in fact, print is something that we could use here, and it's mostly the same.
Okay, let's try print then. I don't know, PHP had print. It does look like the same thing. If I view the page source. Okay. This should still be the same thing. Yeah, it is. Okay, no worries.
Same as echo. There's some slight differences, but still stick with echo. Most people do.
Okay.
All right, so if we switch back, give it a refresh, we get the exact same thing as our static version. But again, I hope you're excited. By definition, we are now building our first dynamic website that uses PHP, and we'll keep taking this further and further. So to finish up today's learning, I want you to play around with echoing different strings. Hello universe, hello town, whatever you want. Practice inserting that text in other areas of the document. Maybe add a paragraph tag where you echo out some gibberish string. The entire point is to become comfortable with writing this awkward sequence of characters. You'll get it.
Okay, pause. I'm gonna do it now. Pause. All right. Let's go. Hello, internet, and then semicolon. Man, I always get caught up on semicolons. This should be right. Let's see. Hello, internet. If I just do unordered list, li item with PHP. No. PHP. Close this, and within here I say echo. Hey there, town. Yeah, let's just say hey there, town. Close this, add a semicolon. Okay, cool. I think I'm getting a hang of it. I think this is it for the stream right now. I love the power of PHP. You can basically hot plug or hot swap, however you want to call it, programming functions into HTML, and it just works. That's why I think I started to choose this as a language for this series, and let's see where this goes. That's it for now. I'll stream again later.